Good morning. It is Friday, September 30th. I'm Shane Seeley, and this is the CBC Morning Report. Local health officials are closing another chapter as it relates to COVID-19. The daily COVID dashboard with stats regarding the virus will be published for the last time today. COVID numbers have been on the decline, and the positivity rate is also down to around 10%. Is this another signal that the pandemic is coming to an end? Let's get some analysis from Dr. Hilary Moore, emergency room physician, joining me live here on the Morning Report. Good to have you back, Dr. Moore.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Great to be back.
Well, things are down. Everything is trending downwards in the direction that health officials would want to see it. What's your take on this situation with bringing an end to the COVID-19 dashboard?
I understand and I do relate to, mass wearing has gone down. The reality is that the strains of COVID-19 virus that we have right now, yes, they may be more easily transmittable, but we're finding that people are not getting as sick. The severity of illness is not as bad. The number of deaths are going down. So I do understand to an extent some things. I also do know, I think from personal experience and just looking at what's happening, people are not really getting tested as much as they were before. I really am not too sure how much effort, manpower, money is spent on doing the daily dashboard. So I can't really say if from a financial standpoint of view that is better. But I do like knowing where our numbers are. Maybe not daily, but I would say maybe every few days. That's me personally. But again, I do not know what level of manpower and finances has to go into producing a daily dashboard. So I'm on the fence about how I feel about it at this moment in time for removing it daily. And only I think they were saying maybe once or twice a month. So I still would like to know the numbers a little more often, but there may be other factors that I'm just not too sure about.
Well, looking at the numbers over the past few weeks, we've seen a gradual decline in the number of COVID-19 cases. As you mentioned, there has been also a reduction in testing that could be a direct result to that. Generally, in terms of the positivity rate, are you happy with where it's at now? And does that really allow us to do as we are doing at present in dropping our masks and going about our business?
All right, 10% positivity is still fairly high because that means that 1 in 10 people, that were tested definitely had COVID. Because again, a lot of people aren't being tested. That could be part of the issue. Again, a lot of the newer strains, a lot of people are asymptomatic or have very minimal symptoms, so that is still of an issue. I do understand the reduction in the mask mandates because internationally it has changed. The reality is we depend on tourism. If we want to be a contender in that market, we're going to also have to reduce our masks. But what I do appreciate and I do like is that we still left the mask mandate for healthcare institutions because the reality is any virus with people that are already ill, it's going to be significant to them. So I like the fact that we still have in healthcare institutions. I also do appreciate it still in the schools because we have reduced vaccine rates, obviously among our younger children. I'm not too sure if they have, adjustments to like tertiary care education because the reality is you do find a lot more of the older population, adults are vaccinated. So they may be, if you have a tertiary education where they have a high rate of vaccines, then they could, reduce that requirement. The reality is right now is that a lot of people have immunity, not only through vaccines, but just being exposed. So I do understand the downward trend. And remember, when we think about healthcare, it's not only just the virus we have to worry about. We have the economics because obviously people who have our economic issues, the stress, and then that relates to their physical well-being. And then we also have to think about the psychological well-being. After we're going almost 3 years of not being able to socialize, we do recognize and we have to accept there's a major, massive psychological impact to everyone of all ages. So we have to balance that. So I do understand the reductions in the mask wearing. However, I still want people to understand there is still a personal responsibility. I actually do appreciate that I've been going around the place and I see people that are working in stores. I find they're still wearing masks because obviously they interact with multiple different people. You still see some people going into establishments with their masks on. So there is still a personal responsibility to your mask wearing. So if you know that you have an immune system that doesn't work as well, whether you're diabetic, you're elderly, you have immune diseases, especially those ones that are taking immunosuppressives, cancers and stuff like that, it may be still beneficial to you to wear the mask. So it's still being a personal responsibility. We need to take stock of ourselves and make good decisions for ourselves too.
And on that note, as we exit the pandemic, as a medical professional, what do you believe the next step should be for a safe exit to the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think one is going to be a lot of education. Remember, just because the numbers and the strains that were causing a lot of deaths has reduced, it doesn't mean that the virus doesn't exist. It's still there. All the strains still exist. So we still have to have some element of caution when we're doing certain activities. Ensure that if you do have flu-like symptoms, stay home. It could be a flu, yes, but it could still be COVID, and you don't know when you go out and interact with people who you're interacting with. You can be interacting with someone that really doesn't have the immune system to fight it. I think that the pandemic has taught us a lot as a society. I think there are a lot of things that we kind of forgotten or put by the wayside. Remember, we have responsibility to ourselves, we have responsibility to others, and therefore do the right things. If you're ill, stay home. You know, if you're coughing, sneezing, it's good practice. Use the crook of your arm, not your hands. Don't be touching up things. And to be honest, I personally love the idea of sanitizing, especially before you go into certain establishments, because you end up touching surfaces and that reduces contamination, not only with COVID-19, but there are other viruses, there are other bacteria out there. So I think there's certain little things that we've learned that I think we can still carry forward into our future.
We've picked up a lot of good practices from the pandemic, as you mentioned, hand sanitizing, and we do still have the option, and many people are still not yet willing to drop their masks, so that is a good thing about personal protection, about personal responsibility, protecting yourself from the scourge of COVID-19 and other viruses that may be in the atmosphere. Dr. Moore, thank you for your service, and thank you for your time here on the Morning Report this morning, giving us an update. Until next time, you be safe.
All right, you too. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Dr. Hilary Moore is an emergency room physician spending some time with us live here on the Morning Report. Coming up, we have some updates on Hurricane Ian and also on the war in Ukraine. The death toll linked to Hurricane Ian's devastation in Florida remains unclear as rescue crews continue to try to reach hard-hit areas. Meanwhile, the President Joe Biden has declared the effects of the storm as a major disaster. We have a report.
He's warned the storm could be the deadliest in Florida's history. It hit the state as one of the strongest hurricanes in decades, but has now weakened to a tropical storm.
And in the face of serious danger, search and rescue operations got underway before dawn this morning for people stranded and who are in desperate shape. Water rescue is critical. Coast Guard deployed 16 rescue helicopters, 6 fixed-wing aircraft, and 18 rescue boats and crews. That's just one element of the many federal search and rescue teams that the pre-staged in Florida. And the governor talked about how impressed he was with what the Coast Guard is doing this morning.
All right, let's have this report now from Kristen Salumi.
Scenes of devastation abound in Florida. The morning after Hurricane Ian struck land, the full extent of the damage was only beginning to come to light. Homes flooded and on fire, boats piled up like children's toys, people in cars navigating their escape. Already, the governor is calling it an historic weather event.
There's going to be a lot more assessing that goes on in the days ahead, but I think we've never seen a flood event like this. We've never seen storm surge of this magnitude, and it hit an area where there's a lot of people in a lot of those low-lying areas, and it's going to end up doing extensive damage to a lot of people's homes. So there's going to be a lot of work to do.
Ian slammed into Florida's Gulf Coast with winds of up to 240 kilometers per hour, inundating communities in its path. The coastal city of Fort Myers was overwhelmed with water. But the effects are being felt inland as well. More than 2 million people lost power. During the height of the storm, rescue crews were unable to respond to cries for help from those who didn't heed evacuation orders. That didn't stop a local news reporter from helping a woman trapped in her car. She was on her way to work in a hospital when she got stuck. It's believed others may not have been so lucky, but with roads and bridges underwater, it will take a while to fully assess the damages to lives and property. The rain and flooding is expected to continue as Ian moves north.
And during this morning's report, we'll try to get a live update on what is happening in the aftermath of Hurricane, well, it has been downgraded, but what was Hurricane Ian? The United Nations Secretary General has warned that Russia's plan to annex 4 Ukrainian regions would mark a dangerous escalation in the war in Ukraine that would jeopardize the prospects for peace. The Kremlin says Russian President Vladimir Putin will sign the annexation treaties today.
These are the strongest comments from the UN Secretary General since the start of the war in Ukraine. He talks about so-called referenda, which don't reflect the genuine will of the people living in those areas. And on the plans for annexation, he says they go against international law and against the UN Charter, the founding document of the United Nations.
It stands against everything the international community is meant to stand for. It flouts the purposes and principles of the United Nations. It is a dangerous escalation. It has no place in the modern world. It must not be accepted.
The UN Security Council is expected to meet as early as Friday. The US and Albania have been working on a resolution condemning Russia. It's likely that Russia will veto such a resolution because it's a permanent member of the Security Council, but already the US Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield has said if that happens, she'll take things to the UN General Assembly.
This is the scene in Moscow where preparations have begun for Russia's formal annexation of the 4 Ukrainian regions. Signs are being put up in Red Square listing the names of the regions and declaring them to be now part of Russia. The landmark is closed to visitors in the lead up to Friday's ceremony. Mohammed Val is in Moscow with the Russian reaction to the UN.
Moscow is not listening to what Mr. Guterres is saying. Moscow is in another world. Russia is bracing for celebrations and a historic speech by Vladimir Putin, President Vladimir Putin, tomorrow. So, I mean, the logic here is very different. We are in I'm talking from a place where, things are seen from a completely different perspective. Russians are bracing for what they call the correction of history. They think that those territories belong to Russia and that it was wrong in the first place to let them go. And now it is time. It is the coronation of this of the sacrifices given by the Russians during this war and before. And it's just less than 24 hours before it starts, and that is when President Vladimir Putin will sign this agreement with the leaders of the 4 breakaway regions who have already landed here in Moscow.
Now we have an update on Hurricane Ian, and it is again a Category 1 hurricane. The storm has intensified to that Cat 1 status, and it's expected to make landfall in South Carolina midday today. That's according to the National Weather Service there. The storm made landfall along the southwestern coast of Florida as a powerful Category 4 hurricane. That was on Wednesday. Let's go live now to CNN to see what they're saying about Hurricane Ian's development. Significant challenges in the business sector lay ahead, but Barbados and the region have the talent to navigate the uncertainties. This was the general theme of Senior Minister responsible for the productive sector, Kerry Simmons, as he delivered the feature address for the Barbados International Business Association's first in-person seminar since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Shane Jones reports on the event held at the Savannah Beach Club Hotel and Spa.
It was BIBA's first luncheon seminar for 2022, and along with scores of businessmen and women, the association hosted a high-level delegation of Nigerian trade and commerce ministers and business leaders. During his welcome, new BIBA President Jamar Arthur Salmon said his association has not been stagnant.
We are actively seeking feedback from members, whether it be nagging issues with the new KIPO online system, issues with the BRA, immigration or otherwise. We hear you, and we are actively communicating with members, representing members, lobbying on behalf of members, and just generally speaking, all stakeholders in Barbados generally. Because if it works better, we all get to do our jobs much more easy, more efficiently, and it's good for all of us.
As he sought to lay out a roadmap for where he believes the Barbados business sector is going, Senior Minister responsible for the productive sector, Kerry Simmons, said the issues of financial de-risking and correspondent banking are matters of significant concern. He's worried enough people in the region aren't speaking up.
There is the capacity to undermine commerce, undermine trade, undermine flows of finances across borders if we do not have the correspondent banking relationships and correspondent banking corridors and services that we rely on. The correspondent banking relationships are utilized not only by central banks, and not only by commercial houses, but also by ordinary citizens.
Minister Simmons said for the sector to survive future challenges, everyone needs to chip in. He stressed he has confidence in the members of the business community.
There's simply too much talent in the global business sector in Barbados for us not to recognize that we have reach and we have influence. Influence that stretches from right here in Bridgetown all the way to the corridors of financial influence and financial power in the United States, all the way to the corridors of financial influence and financial power in Canada and in the United Kingdom. And we have to be prepared in an organized way to let our voices be heard on some of these existential threats.
Mr. Simmons said an important development on the horizon is the apparent inclination by the U.S. Treasury to work with Barbados to designate the correspondent banking services as indispensable.
It is important because the influence of the U.S. Treasury, especially if we can get this legislated, will enable other jurisdictions who tend to follow suit to understand the vital role that correspondent banking relationships play, and that this cannot be a matter that is trifled with, because effectively, as I just outlined to you, you are really toying with people's livelihoods.
The luncheon seminar was held in collaboration with the BIDC. Shane Jones, CBC News.
In sports, the stage is set for what is expected to be the grand finale of this year's Heroes CPL. Barbados Royals and Jamaica Talawas are ready for battle in the showpiece event tonight at the Guyana National Stadium in Providence. Melissa Farley reports.
The Royals have been the best team on shore so far and made their way to the final after beating the Guyana Amazon Warriors in the playoffs.
I thought you guys came back well against Guyana. We started out with stuff the day before the game. We spoke about being positive, and you guys went into the game with a positive attitude and mindset, and then we came out on top.
A knock of 91 from Raheem Cornwall and a 3-wicket burst from Ramon Simmons has set up that comfortable result. And Captain Calmeers remains humble as his troops prepare to claim their third title.
There's always room for improvement. I think batting-wise, I think we could be much better. Although we got a great score last time, we thought we could be much better. But just conditions-wise, I think that once we assess the conditions as fast as we're supposed to, I think this team is a good team. As I said, we're very resilient. Even though we lose some wickets early or we get some runs on us scoring the ball early, you guys are always willing to come back. Having that never die attitude, I think that's what's been going well for us. It's been a long tournament, very very jam-packed. So you guys guys were very happy to win the qualifying, not to be able to play the extra game. As Ravi said, I said, let's win the game. We celebrated and we had some time to recover and focus on this game to come.
Meantime, the Talawas have been impressive in various stages of the tournament, booking their spot in the final following a win against the luckless Warriors in the second qualifier last night. Shamar Brooks scored a masterful century, rocketing the Talawas' total score, and Imad Wasim's masterful all-round performance also helped secure their final berth. The man leading that charge is Rodman Powell.
I think over the last few days things have been good. A lot of games per se since the last time we spoke, and the guys have really come to the party. It's important for our senior players to really come to the party, and I think the guys have done that. Over the last few days, also some stuff was there to really derail us, but the way the guys stick together is commendable. I think the guys are feeling really upbeat. Barbados is a very strong team and and possibly the best team in CPL so far. So the guys are upbeat of the challenge to facing the best team in CPL so far. So, the guys are looking forward to the challenge. Today is a day where we just take it easy in a sense, where we just come back down off the high of the game last night. Put in a little bit of preparation, get in a little bit of rest, and hopefully things goes well tomorrow.
Both teams have claimed the CPL title twice, Barbados in 2014 and 2019, while Jamaica took it in 2013 and 2016, and each team will now be looking to go one up. So the stage is set for more fireworks on Friday night when a new champion will be crowned, the 10th CPL victors. Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's look at weather now. The temperature on the outside is 27 degrees Celsius. It's mostly cloudy. It's feeling like 31 degrees Celsius with the relative humidity at 86%. The barometric pressure is 1010 millibars and the winds are coming from the southeast at 24 kilometers per hour. We'll see a high tide this morning at 20 minutes to 7. The low will be around, later on closer to midnight, but there will be another high tide at 26 minutes after 6 in the evening. The seas are calm to moderate in open water. Swells are between 0.5 and 1.5 meters and holding steady. Today in Barbados, it will be mostly cloudy with breaks of sunshine and a few brief scattered light to moderate showers. And tonight we'll have a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. And here's a quick look at the international weather forecast. That's it for the Friday edition of the CBC Morning Report. I'm Shane Seeley. I'll see you at 7 with headline news. Up next is Pearson with Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Hi there, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today. Today is Friday, the 30th of September, 2022. It's the end of the week. It's the end of the month. And we did promise you yesterday that we will be coming to you live from the historic St. James Parish Church compound. But unfortunately, owing to weather conditions, that has been paid to. Our technical team has advised that the outfield was a little too soggy, and so the game has been called, and so we're inside, but nonetheless everything about St. James we will be sharing with you today. So today you'll get to hear and meet the parish ambassadors. We want to know who they are and the parish in which they are embarked, and so we can't wait to hear about that. Patsy Jordan is one of those well-known vendors. You know, immediately when we saw the video, somebody in here said, I know her. And so when you see her as well, you'll think, I know her too. But do you know her story? She'll share that with us in just a little while here on Morning Barbados. The Queen's College Association are going to be hosting a whole week of activities, and all of you past students of Queen's College, supporters of the college, you'd want to hear what's on the plan, and we'll tell you that in just a little while too. Maurice Greenwich is a historian of great repute, and certainly he'll be joining us today. I want to delve into his knowledge of the parish of St. James, from the plantations, the roads, the people, the everything. St. James today, this is going to be quite a history lesson for all of us today, and a whole lot more straight ahead. Of course, we'll be challenging our guests with our unscrambled letters as well. So it's going to be quite fun. Stick around. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube and Facebook streams as well. Let's get started this morning by meeting the parish ambassadors. They are Khadija Williams and Ajani Batson, both of them representing you, St. James. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now listen, I read your bios, each of you, and I had to put them down because you guys made me seem so lazy. When I read everything that you do and continue to do at such a young age, I am indeed impressed. You, Khadija, you do so much. Give us a snapshot of what it is that you do.
Well, I'm currently the associate pastor of the Husbandman Pentecostal Church of God in Christ Church, and that's located in Gully Field, St. Michael. I'm also pursuing my bachelor's in social work at the University of the West Indies in Barbados. I am also the president of the Social Work Student Association in Barbados. I'm the second lieutenant of the St. John Hamlets Association. I am a first aider. I teach people in first aid. I train them in first aid. There's so many things. I bake. I'm into drama as well. I dance. I mean, multiple choirs.
There's so much that you do and have been doing, and that is good, because in all of it, I'm hearing you giving, not just of self, but giving to those who are waiting to be ministered to. So why is it that you decided this time around that you will put yourself forward to be the female parish ambassador for St. James?
Well, as you would have stated, I give. I want to be a catalyst for change in my community. So my goal was to help construct a positive perspective in the minds of young people. Most of them don't have a role model, so I want to be that person that can help them have an image of what a role model stands for. And also, sometimes Barbadians tend to look to other countries to form an image of themselves. So I wanted to help them to see that, you know, we have a nation, we need to be community minded, and I wanted to get others engaged in that spirit of community mindedness.
I love it, indeed. And you too, Ajani, you have quite a storied tale to tell. I mean, let's talk a little bit about what you have been doing and some of the organizations which you've formed.
So to talk about the organizations that I formed, I started my own business. So I am a young entrepreneur. The name of my business is Arcadia Farms. We specialize primarily in potted herbs, vegetable and herb seedlings, and looking to go on to do egg production. I also do a little bit of ornamental plants, and I have some sites to further get on into like culinary herbs and later down probably that rare.
Right.
But then I also started a club, a community club. It's called the Holdersville Sports and Culture Club. It's primarily focused on cricket. As many people would know, St. John Baptist Cricket Club, an iconic cricket club in Barbados. It was hosted here at John Baptist, but it kind of went away. And then the generation of cricketers like myself, we didn't really have an outlet to play cricket. We didn't really have anything to do. There were lots of guys around my age that weren't working, home, trying to find something to do. So I was like, you know, I left playing cricket at the University of West Indies and came back home to start a second division team. So then doing that, I got a great group of guys. We aged from 14, the youngest guy is 14 years old. The oldest guy in the team, he's just about 50, 53. But the general age range is between 14 to 35, which is really good. And
Yes.
getting lots of feedback, from the other team. The older guys love to see it, and they keep encouraging us all the same.
Right. So then you two are very community oriented, and so you two naturally felt the need to come forward and be the representative for the parish ambassadors of St. James. So Khadija, back to you. How is it going so far, and what's the project you guys are working on?
Okay, everything's going wonderful. This year, the project will take on a Sankofa approach as we look back in our quest to move forward. And due to the arrival of COVID-19 in Barbados, life as we are accustomed to, it was different, and we had to re-emerge into society, live in a new norm, and we need to reconnect to each other. So our parish project aims to re-engage, restore, reunite, remember who we are as a strong St. James people. So our parish project is entitled St. James Revived.
And how does that work?
And
How do you now bring those words to life and make it real?
okay, so re-engaging with each other, we did community walkthroughs, restoring what was lost during the pandemic. We reached out to existing community groups and businesses within St. James, and we foster relationships, and we try to share information on the PIC. So we were uniting as a community and also remembering who we are. So sharing the information on the PIC, which is Parish Independence Committee. And we engaged in social media. We communicated using Instagram and Facebook. We also did a beautification aspect of our project, which we I guess we changed up St. Albans Play Park and then their gardening area. We did a lot of work there. Then we had a lot of assistance from teachers and people within the community. So that was a really good connecting moment. We had our fundraising cake sale, which doubled as a pop-up place within the community, and we engaged with persons at Matthew. So Johnny and I, we met so many children who were so excited to meet us.
Yes,
And
yes.
we even put to them, would you like to be a junior parish ambassador? And they were like, yes, yes. They were so excited. And we just told them that it just involves a lot of helping.
Yes.
We engaged everyone because St. James, we love everyone. We took part in the sign language challenge for International Week for the Deaf. So we wanted to ensure that we included all persons within our community.
Right. You've done a lot indeed. You know, we're going to spend the whole morning on you guys, not just you two, but on the parish of St. James. But as we wanted to say thank you so much for your service and really commend you on all the work you've both been able to do so far in your parish, and hope that all turns out well in November for the Spirit of the Nation show, and that you are recognized significantly for the input into what you've been doing there. But before you go, you know, here on Morning Barbados, we do these unscrambled letters. Yeah? We want to challenge both of you. I know that you can do this. Put your heads together. Can we share it with the team, guys? Come on, bring it up. Let's show them the word or words. We'd like them to unscramble. So are you, get ready for this. All right, you're not going to call, but these two parish ambassadors are going to try to unscramble this. Look at it, Ajani and Khadija. And tell me immediately, what words do you see if you were to sort these letters out?
Parish ambassadors.
Ajani, you see those words too?
They do.
Yeah, you only said that because she said so. But you're absolutely right. Both of you, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Well done. Well done indeed. So all the best, Khadija and Ajani, on your journey, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. We'll enjoy you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're very welcome indeed. We're coming back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Right now, let us meet Patsy Jordan, who is a small business owner living here for over 40 years. She's quite passionate about her parish and entrepreneurship.
My name is Patsy Jordan. I'm from the parish of St. James. I live in Trent, St. James. I live over there for almost 40 years. Trench is an area where you get a lot of water. When the rain falls, it always floods out. And the community there is great, it's very peaceful. We share our fruits and vegetables among each other. And in Trench, you can easily get some place to rent and so forth. It's very close to Old Town, where it's convenient, where you can go to a restaurant or the supermarket. I started my trade here in Old Town. There's my fondest memory as coming to the beach as a child. And when I first started my trade here, I started doing hair braiding. I was on the beach one day, braiding a friend here, and a visitor asked me to do theirs. And that's where it started, by braiding hair. And then I explored braiding hair all the time back in the 70s. And after that, my husband at the time, he brought home a rack. I don't know if he bought it, we got it from, but I copied that rack and I started making sarongs and selling them. That time we used to walk from beach to beach selling, but now we are stationed in one area. So we don't walk anymore, at least I don't walk anymore, just stationed right here. And the reason I like that is because if a customer come to you and something is too small, they can find you back this location. So I like that we're in one area. So for instance, I made this necklace. It's a necklace with shells, and it have cornelius stones. And I made the earrings to match as well. So you get the necklace and the earrings, I made them. I have a whole set of earrings to choose from, and I made one-of-a-kind pieces earrings. You have a range of necklaces and a range of bracelets. So most of the stuff on the table, I made them. And I also made these hats as well. These crochet hats, I crochet them. So you can fit that you have on some here, right? Yeah? So you can have it with hair or without hair. And this is very popular because most people like the Bob Marley color, the ice gold and green color. And I also have the Barbados color. I can't forget my island. I have the Barbados color too. And I also made some of the clothes here. Like this is a halter top with some matching wrap pants. This is wrap to fit. You see? It's a shorts and you wrap to fit. I have men's shirts too. And the largest shirt that I carry is a 4X. It's a very big shirt for the muscle guys. Yeah? The Williams that live in front of us, they had a taxi guy that was opposite us. His name was Mr. Williams. I don't remember the first name. And he was like the village taxi man at the time. And then there were the Paynes, like George Payne family. I had them too. They were helpful, especially with legal work. And the only guy was Alma. Alma was the dressmaker, because she was the one that helped show me how to cut the same wrap to make for the beach. So I didn't go to classes to learn to sew. I learned it on my own. And Alma, she was very helpful to me too, teaching me. And Janice, she was my friend, and Joy, all of those girls was my friend in the neighborhood because I was from Walcott's Road. Walcott's Road, St. James, is a very narrow gap. At the top had a church. The church was a Seventh-day Adventist church, and in the middle had a church too. Also at the top had the priest now, which is Peter Haynes. There had lived at the top. And then we had these kids. And coming all down the gap, you would get a meat man. I don't remember that meat man name, a short meat man. He used to do the bushering there, next to the church. And further down the hill, there was another taxi man. All those guys think he was Mr. Hines. I don't remember all them names. And then at the very end of the gap was another church. So you wasn't lacking for worship. Where my son is right now, the water there, it's coming from the back and the front everywhere. We really want trench fix where the water is concerned. Even though they're building new canal, the canal is push the water back to us. So we definitely need trench fix up. Whole town is what I would call, like, you know, the settlers first came in here, so it's a historic place, right? We have the cannon up front, and we have the Whole Town Festival, so I go to that, and that is really good because persons look forward for the Whole Town Festival where they can make extra income for the families, and I too move my business over to the street. So Whole Town with the festival is really great. Right here it's kind of central because you have the police station, you have the post office, you have the supermarket, you have the banks. It's surrounded by everything. So it's like a one-stop shop. You have all the nightclubs, the restaurants down in 1st Street and 2nd Street, where people go to karaoke. We have Cersei restaurant here, where you can come and have a lovely local meal. So Whole Town in the whole is like a one-stop shop area. You can almost get everything for me. Raising my children in St. James, I have 3 children now, but at that time I had 2 sons. And raising my sons in St. James was pretty easy for me because I was self-employed. So I would drop them to school. I would drop them to school up at St. James School and come to work. And then after around 3 o'clock, I would go and pick them up. Sometimes if I have to go out, they have a neighbor by the name of Sylvie. She passed now, and she would look out for them, and in turn, when she go to work at night, I will look out for her son. And here is a lovely beach where you could come and relax because we have there's a lady that rent chairs here and 2 guys, they rent chairs. So when you come here, you can settle, relax for the day, rent your umbrellas and chairs. So I will recommend Whole Town to come, and you can get a nice local meal at Cersei restaurant.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're now 9 minutes to go to the hour of 7 o'clock this Friday morning as we bring you everything St. James. And in 1990, as a matter of fact, this school was relocated from Bridgetown to St. James. We're talking of Queen's College. And so they're going to be celebrating QCA Week, Queen's College Association Week, starting on Sunday. Joining us to talk a little bit more about what's happening is Richelle Bowen, who is a public relations officer with the committee, and Erica Hinkson, who is an executive board member of the QCA. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Hi.
Now,
good morning, Pearson.
Class is relatively short today, but there's such history to your school. And I took the time today. You were established in 1883 right there in town where the Ministry of Education is. And you've had quite a number of notable principals as well, starting with what is now known as Dame Elsie Payne, ending with who is now Dr. David Brown. Let's talk a little bit about the history of the school and what it means to have been one of the Fertilus girls. Let's start with you,
Okay.
Erica.
Hi. Yes. So, what it means for me to be a QC girl, it's tremendously touched my life, helped to set me on a path that I am today. You would find out that the theme for the week actually is entrepreneurship, and I have a burning passion for entrepreneurs because at the school we did learn all the foundations of business. We learned the importance of helping, giving back to the community, and I try to practice that in my daily life.
Well done indeed. And so, Rochelle, there's a whole set of activity. How are you going to be able to pull all of your alumni together to get everyone a part of the celebrations?
We're really trying our best, of course, with sharing a lot of content on social media and what's not. So, of course, one of the aims of the organization is to keep the alumni connected and also to foster relationships between the alumni and current students. You know, we have a lot of fundraising activities, we have scholarship, we have some mentorship programs, but for the week, there's something for everybody because we start with a church service, we end with games night and karaoke. So we're just trying to make sure that there's something that appeals to everyone.
Yeah, we're going to share that in just a moment. You know, in coming to work, one of your alumni, a young man by the name of DJ Touchdown, Shea Brown, he's on the air at the moment on 98.1 The One. He said, oh, by the way, enjoy my school today. I'm like, come on, man, don't do this to me. And both of you are proudly displaying all of the emblems of things that remind everyone, yes, the school tie and the crest as well. So all week long, starting on Sunday right through, I'm sure you would want all past students of Queen's College to proudly display everything great about Queen's College.
Yes, and not only past students, we wanted to add that, of course, despite the fact that it is the QCA, these activities are open to everyone to attend. So irrespective of what school you attended, you're very welcome to join us. And in fact, we would be happy for you to join us.
All right, so it starts on Sunday with a church service. And who's going to start to walk me through event on event? And because people need to know what it is, when it is, and where it is, and how to be a part.
All right, I'll give it a start. We are starting off QCA week with a bang. We have a church service that, as we said, is for everyone to attend at St. Jude's Parish Church. Don't worry, we will be dropping location pins on social media and sharing via email and getting information to those more mature QC students that may need to know to get to the church.
Yes.
We're also looking at, on that same Sunday, we're having a lovely buffet luncheon at Radisson. I can't wait. And then we're jumping right into Monday the 3rd with a joint assembly. We are having Mr. Kyle Smith of Pass Alum actually do an incredible speech on entrepreneurship, as he is the owner of Curbside Restaurant. A lot of us know that restaurant, and we want to hear his views on what it takes to be an entrepreneur, because that's very important in the Barbadian landscape today. And I'll take it over to Rochelle
But
to
on that day,
some more of the activities.
on that day as well, there's a tree planting ceremony.
Yes, Rochelle is going to touch on that.
So the tree planting ceremony was initiated about 25 years ago. And we've actually joined with the alumni of Harrison College as well. And we've partnered with the National Conservation Commission. And we're planting 32 trees. Those will be planted at Queen's College and also Harrison College on that day. So at 9 a.m., we'll be doing the ceremony at Queen's College. And there will actually be a planting at 1 p.m. at Harrison College as well, which I think 32 is the largest number that we've had so far in terms of the tree planting.
Brilliant. Then on Wednesday, I like this one, you're going to be visiting senior alumni.
Yes, this is very important to us. It's very dear to our heart. This was actually spearheaded by Miss Sherry Cumberbatch, so thank you for that. It's a brilliant initiative whereby we still stay in touch with alum who may be in nursing homes, who may not be feeling well. You know, we're trying to lift their spirits and give them a visit so that they're not forgotten. And then we are also doing on the Wednesday the LC Payne lecture, memorial lecture, and we're featuring Miss Celeste Foster. So that's at 7 p.m. Very excited about that lecture because that's also about creating an entrepreneurial society. Mrs. Foster did come up with that topic because she thought it was very important to include everyone in the Barbadian society, not just entrepreneurs or businesses, but for the entire Barbados to see how we can come together to build Barbados. And you may know Mrs. Foster from her as president of the Small Business Association. She's the creator of the $20 challenge that secondary schools actually do, really initiative that helps young people to learn how to grow a business, make money from a business, make it sustainable, and a number of other initiatives that she's been involved with over the years.
But it's the Elsie Payne Memorial Lecture. I don't think either of you know Mrs. Payne, Dame Elsie Payne, but she was an outstanding educator. I'm sure you've read the history. You know it well, perhaps better than I do. But nonetheless, it's in her honor that this memorial lecture is held, and certainly it's a wonderful opportunity for many people to come. How can people engage with the lecture so that budding entrepreneurs are also able to benefit from the wisdom of Celeste Foster?
So
go ahead, Richelle.
We're
you can
actually
take this away.
doing it on a virtual platform. So those details are going to be shared on our social media, which on Instagram is QCA.Barbados, and on Facebook is QCA Barbados as well. So that lecture is actually going to be online, and again, all can attend. So you can just check our social media for those details and feel free to join in.
Right. Erica, you were about to say something when I stepped in. What was it you were going to say?
Oh, that was okay. We're just going through the week. So I'm taking it at your time, Pearson.
Good. So I'm in charge today. Now there's nothing on the third. There's nothing on the Thursday. I wonder if that's deliberate.
Richelle?
Well, what I would say is we usually do have some other activities during the week, like a debate and things like that. But some of the students have not fully returned back to the school as yet. So we usually would do like a past student versus alumni, things like that. So some of the activities, unfortunately, we did not get to execute during this week. But the association is an annual, all year, organization. So at the end of the day, we will definitely be having more activities throughout the year that you can look out for.
To show all of your love for your alma mater, your Queen's College. How is that going to work?
All right.
Sorry,
so that is... Go ahead. Go ahead, Richelle.
No, I had missed
that's
the...
one of my favorite days. Oh, it cut in and out. Go ahead, Pearson.
I Love QC Day. I Love QC Day means what? What do you want people to do on that day, Erica? Talk to me.
Okay, so just how we are right now, Richelle and I, I took a more casual approach because we want everybody to feel included. You dress how you want to dress on the day in your red, blue, and white QC colors, your tie, your uniform, your crest, your house pin, whatever you have to show off your love for QC, whether at work, whether you're in an educational institution, wherever you are in Barbados. Even if you're a QC supporter, you don't have to have gone to QC. Maybe you had family or you just love the school. Support our school in your colors on the Friday I Love QC Day. And hashtag us, tag us, everything. We want to see all your beautiful pictures on the QCA page.
That's on Friday, the 7th of October. You said, no, I didn't go there, but my brother, my sisters, my nieces and nephews, they've all gone through that school. So I'm sure that they're going to expect me to myself as associate with you. You end that day at 6 o'clock with a social at Lime Grove Lifestyle Center, and everyone is invited to that as well. Then on Saturday, you're having another event. What's happening on Saturday, Richelle?
Yes, so on Saturday is our games night and karaoke. So that's going to be a night of pure fun and laughter, and that is at the Nala Aria event venue, which is in Worthing. It's actually owned by QC alumnus Zachary Allenby. So we're very grateful for his assistance in that regard. And that's just a fun night. We start at 5 o'clock. So again, everyone can attend. There's no charge to attend, and we will have food and beverages
So it's going to be quite a week of activity, and we want to encourage all to go onto your social media to see day by day what it is you're going to be required to do as you show your love for Queen's College as well. Now, ladies, before you go, I want to give you a word to unscramble. This is how we do it on Morning Barbados. We scrambled up some letters, and you're going to use your brain now to quickly spot the word and tell me the word. So can we share what that is? What's the word for the moment for the alumni of Queen's College as they celebrate their week? Look at that. Quickly, can you tell me what word you think you can make using these letters in correct order? If you can't,
give us a hint.
No.
The other word was so much.
It's a location.
It's a location in
Yes.
St. James.
It's a location in St. James, yes.
A restaurant.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
It's not a restaurant.
I give up. Say I give up. They give up.
Okay.
No, the word is Lancaster. Lancaster.
No, you can't be
Oh
serious.
my gosh, yes, Lancaster.
I live just above Lancaster.
Shame on
Oh
you.
my goodness. I am
All right.
ashamed.
I want to thank both of you. Wish you well with your week of activities indeed. And, you know, we can't wait for the success from this as well. I hope everyone joins in celebrating with you. Richelle Bowen and Erica Hinkson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome.
And
Break, and when we come back, the news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Time now for your headline news for this Friday morning. Barbados has signed an air services agreement with the government of Qatar. Minister of Tourism and International Transport, Senator Lisa Cummins, formalized the agreement while attending the International Civil Aviation Organization's 41st General Assembly, which took place in Montreal, Canada. She said the signing of the air services agreement, along with a joint memorandum of cooperation, would allow Barbados and Qatar to begin discussions on commercial carriers flying to the island. The minister, who has a responsibility for civil aviation as well, also noted that Qatar has agreed to support Barbados in capacity building for the creation of a new civil aviation authority. This would include the training of Barbadian nationals and the provision of scholarships in the area of aviation. According to Senator Cummins, for the first time in Barbados' history, a civil aviation authority bill would be laid in Parliament in the coming weeks. Once passed, it will have with it 2 additional items of legislation on air navigation services and accident investigation services. Significant challenges in the business sector lay ahead, but Barbados and the region have the talent to navigate these uncertainties. This was the general theme of Senior Minister responsible for the productive sector, Kerry Simmons. He delivered the feature address for the Barbados International Business Association's first in-person seminar since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Shane Jones reports.
It was BIBA's first luncheon seminar for 2022, and along with scores of businessmen and women, the association hosted a high-level delegation of Nigerian trade and commerce ministers and business leaders. During his welcome, new BIBA President Jamar Arthur Salmon said his association has not been stagnant.
We are actively seeking feedback from members, whether it be nagging issues with the new KAIPO online system, issues with the BRA, immigration or otherwise. We hear you, and we are actively communicating with members, representing members, lobbying on behalf of members, and just generally speaking, all stakeholders in Barbados generally. Because if it works better, we all get to do our jobs much more easy, more efficiently, and it's good for all of us.
As he sought to lay out a roadmap for where he believes the Barbados business sector is going, Senior Minister responsible for the productive sector, Kerry Simmons, said the issues of financial de-risking and correspondent banking are matters of significant concern. He's worried enough people in the region aren't speaking up.
There is the capacity to undermine commerce, undermine trade, undermine flows of finances across borders if we do not have the correspondent banking relationships and correspondent banking corridors and services that we rely on.
And that's our headline news for this morning. I'm Shane Seeley. It's back to you, Pearson.
Thank you, Shane. Morning Barbados continues in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now 9 minutes after 7 o'clock as we continue looking into the parish of St. James, sharing with you all of St. James, the life, the history, the energy of that parish indeed. And joining me now to talk a little bit more about the ongoing work of the Parish Independence Committee is Tricia Ward, who is a member, and Carice Wilson, Secretary Treasurer of the St. James Parish Independence Committee. Good morning, both of you.
Good morning.
Welcome
Good morning.
indeed. Thank you for having us in your parish and telling us more. Let's talk a little bit about what the committee does. And Carice, perhaps you can tell me, what does the committee do?
So, good morning again, Pearson. The committee helps assist the parish ambassadors who you saw this morning with sensitizing all the communities around Barbados. So, as you know, each parish have communities in it, so we sensitize the St. James residents. We also help to build parish pride, and also we help to, for the Spirit of the Nation show, there is a talent session, and we help solicit those acts and bring them in and help them to, discover themselves, explore themselves.
How many years have you been on the committee for a little while now, Carice?
I have been on the committee, well, rather, I was the parish ambassador, female parish ambassador last year. So I'm returning this year as the secretary treasurer.
Oh, and so now you have some insight into the show, and now you have some insight to share with the committee as to what they can tweak and that kind of thing. Are you enjoying the journey so far, Carice?
It is a very memorable experience. I won't say it has its ups and downs, but you do it for the ambassadors who you met this morning, two very ambitious people, so we're doing it for them.
Tricia, what about you? Why did you volunteer your time to be a part of the Independence Committee for St. James?
Well, I wanted to do something for my community. We live our lives, but I wanted to give back. So I decided that I would offer my talents to the community and be part of the program.
But that means giving up some time. Does it feel like a labor of love, or is it simply such a sacrifice?
The program is very intense. It's more intense than I thought it would have been. But the support and the energy that I get from the team is fantastic. And so we just help each other. We just collaborate with each other just to make it work and make it go. And the program is very interesting. I didn't believe that it would be so detailed when I got into it, so I really wasn't sure when I got in. But after going in, the program is wonderful.
Right, so no regrets
There's
at
a lot
all.
of development. No, none whatsoever.
Right, so Carice, because you know what it means to go house to house, door to door, almost to solicit support. How are you being able to achieve that this year, this time around, to introduce your parish ambassadors to everyone and to get everyone on board the plans?
So for last year, it was a bit different because we were in the COVID environment. So however, this year with the relaxation of the protocols, we were able to go outside and do some community walkthroughs. We were also able to attend the parish church, not the parish church, sorry, the church in Holders Hill, the St. John the Baptist Church, sorry. And then we were also able to hold a cake sale. So we were able to engage the community and meet with persons the members of St. James.
What are some of the other events that you guys have on the calendar so that other people from St. James can be a part of what you're doing?
We have a cricket tournament coming up in October. We are also having a domino competition between the ending of October, the beginning of going through November as well. And there is also a heritage tour.
Now, you know, everybody likes to say, for more details, go to our social media pages. Is that the same word? Are those the same words that you guys will use? For more details, go to our social media pages.
Yes, we have
Very
our
much.
Facebook page and Instagram pages, St. James PIC, that you can go on and get the information as it gets closer to the event.
But you know, Carice, it is so important that everyone in St. James gives their full support. So I want you to make an appeal to all residents of St. James and tell them why they should stand up for the parish ambassadors and stand up for the work of the Parish Independence Committee.
I would say you have two amazing ambassadors. Back them in everything that we can. Whether you were born, bred, whether you left another parish to come to St. James to live, whether you came from overseas to come to St. James and live, just support the parish. You chose a wonderful parish to live in, and we are doing our best to help promote it.
Indeed so. And so I really want to commend both of you ladies for your tireless work as being a part of the Parish Independence Committee, and thank you for working along with us to bring and showcase all things about St. James. We're loving it so far. The colors are rich. It is such a beautiful parish, and you know, a drive-through will reveal that to you. You get from the coastline to inland, you get all of those in between in the parish of St. James as well, and you have the Gold Coast. So naturally, y'all are quite interesting indeed. Now, all morning long, for those who have been talking to, we give them some words to unscramble. You know how we do this on Morning Barbados, and both of you don't get away. I'll give you some words to unscramble right now, and I want you as quickly as possible to tell me the words you see. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Good, I'm ready too. So let's share with them the words to be unscrambled now, and let's see how good they are in look at this. Look at this.
Whole Tongue Festival.
I beg your pardon?
Yes.
Whole Tongue Festival.
Carice, you sure?
Yes.
You jump in there very hard. You're absolutely right. Spot on. Well done indeed. Whole Town Festival. And that festival generally will happen in February, right?
Yes.
Oh, because y'all are from St. James, so you should know. Thank you so very much indeed for joining us, and best of luck going forward with the Spirit of the Nation show coming up in November. But with all of your other activities engaging the people of St. James as well, I wish you much success. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thanks
You're
for
welcome.
having us.
You're very welcome. We're going to take a break here on Morning Barbados, and as we do, take a look at some of the other sights of beautiful St. James.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Let's now take a look at some of the history of St. James, and this next guest itself knows a little bit about the history, particularly of the St. James Parish Church, and our next guest will also tell us what it means to live and grow up in the parish of St. James. She is the Reverend Beverly Seeley Knight. In her own words, she tells it now.
I am the Reverend Beverly Seeley Knight, rector of St. James Parish Church, also referred to as God's Acre. We're standing under the oldest piece of consecrated land. Our history tells us that the first church was erected here in 1628, and it was a wooden building. What we're seeing here now has been constructed in the 1680s, and there have been some additions as time moved on. I am originally from the parish of St. Philip, but ministry brought me to the parish of St. James. I remember as a young lass driving through St. James and being enthralled by its beauty. And I thought to myself, would I ever get the opportunity of living in St. James? Never really dreaming or thinking that it would happen. So I am truly blessed to be a part of St. James community. Truth be told, I've been living in St. James now for over 23 years. My younger son has been born in St. James, and he thinks that he's the authentic St. James, but the rest of us, his family, that we're all imports. So we have a good laugh about that. But the St. James community, for me, is intriguing, it's interesting. I find that as we move through the several communities or neighborhoods, each one has its differences and special things that will make these St. James unique. The businesses that we are around here, of course, they are varied, and the wonderful thing about it is that quite a few of the residents here in St. James are employed or own businesses within the St. James community or St. James town. There's so much to love about St. James. Of course, I take the advantage of the fact that we're quite near to the beach, and it's just a walk away from here. And just walking over by the beach and encountering the persons there, sea bathers, picnickers, is really an interesting experience in terms of having several conversations with them. Of course, I take the advantage of as well of just sitting and meditating from time to time, and just looking out onto the ocean and thanking God for the beauty that is a part of this rock we call Barbados. Of course, I would have to say that I'm one of those persons who enjoys a wonderful cup of coffee, and there are options around here as well as the food. But I would have to say that what I appreciate most of all would be the people that I meet, whether they come here to the church or whether I'm just walking along Old Town. But there's always that moment where the conversation, the encounter would result in a new made friend. And I treasure the friendships built up here over time in St. James. In terms of development within the St. James area, I would like to see more emphasis being placed on our youth. I think that we've got some talented youth, great potential, but it needs to be explored, and they need to have the opportunities in which they can discover their worth and their value, and to be able to hone their gifts and their skills. As I work with the two schools, St. James Primary and Frederick Smith Secondary, I see it every day more and more. I'd like to see the community becoming more and more involved in what's happening in terms of the programs these two schools usually create and attempt to share within the parish of St. James. I would like to see a lot more happening at Frederick Smith, of course. And in terms of the plant itself, for it to become, I think it's been there for about 40 plus years, and there's so much more that is needed. There is so much room and so much need for growth. It has indeed a potential for growth. And I would like to see certainly something happening in terms of our two schools because of the great potential they hold. There are three things I would wish for St. James. The first thing would be greater community love and cooperation. I'd like to see our communities coming together more and more, becoming more interactive. I'd like to see St. James to be a true community in every sense of the word. I'd like for our citizens here to feel safe and to know that indeed they are able to create that sense of wholeness and peace and safety which we all crave. I would like to see the expansion of our amenities. And I would like to see St. James as a place where visitors feel as though they're totally welcomed and the interaction is much greater. I am Reverend Beverly Seeley Knight, Rector of St. James Parish Church, and welcome to St. James, the parish of the setting sun, where all are welcome and we are truly happy to share our resources with all of you.
The parish of the setting sun. I like that. Did you see her earrings? 2 angels swinging from her ears indeed. The Reverend Beverly Seeley Knight, Rector of St. James Parish Church. What a beautiful location it is, truly. And they are known for their tea parties, their garden parties, they're all of those that they have. Beautiful piece of real estate there. Though next to the road, it is still quite serene within the sanctuary of St. James Parish Church. So take some time there at Folkestone at any given time to just browse it. One of those not too busy grave sites, a yard, and it's really quite a lovely location indeed. But thank you for having us over the Reverend Beverly Seeley Knight, and all the best with your ministry. We'll take a break right here. When we come back, more history of St. James.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
25 minutes after 7 o'clock. You think St. James and you have to think of this man. When you think of the Whole Town Harmonites, you have to think of this man. When you think of the Whole Town Methodist Church and organ music, you have to think of this man. When you think of the historian, you have to think of this man. We're talking about Maurice Greenidge. He joins us now as we look further into the history of the parish of St. James. And certainly we'll be connecting with him after they do their final checks in just a little while, because I want to look around St. James and get to know a little bit more about the places, the roads, what happened before, what's happening now, and the changes seen as well. Maurice Greenidge, my friend, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good. I am great. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, thankful.
We believe you're the man best placed to give us some insight into the history of the parish of St. James. We know the date of its settlement, we know the location, when the English came and they landed. But what else do you think we need to know about St. James that makes it so uniquely special?
A whole lot more, as I'm still discovering, because the revelations are still coming. And about a month ago, I did a tour with the children from the library. They had a camp, and I was able to find out and to show them that our gullies, our crevices and creeks are very important, because it seems to me as though the man who came first did not have a surveyor as did Williston and Bridgetown. So what the Powells and so on did was to use the gullies as places of demarcation and marks of delineation. So, for instance, the first mark of the corn plantation, which we now know as Sandy Lane, was at that creek by the telephone exchange. And as we went straight through the parish, we discovered that that's the method that they use. That the first Corteen settlers used to divide the land, the creeks and the ridges of the hills.
I mean, when you look at it in concept, it makes tremendous sense, after all, to be able to define lines of demarcation in that kind of way. So here it is now, you're saying that in the parish of St. James, there are quite a few areas where that happens or would have happened?
Definitely. It's evident to me now that all of the initial plantations, the Corteen plantations, were marked by the creeks and the ridges of the hills. In the first instance, it seems as though St. James went as far east as the ridge just below Vaucluse factory. I'm talking about the parish of St. James.
Yes, yes.
And Corteen's estates went that far east, past Mangrove, going right up. And then Corteen's own plantation, the plantation eastward, that was called the Indian Plantation eastward, that took up the second half of the parish above Lancaster Gully, going towards the ridge at from Apes Hill, going north through Spring Head and out to Black Bess area. So and all of them are either ridges or gullies, and the gullies are there. You can still see them, especially at the seasides. Some of them have been mowed over, built over, all sorts of things, but you can still see most of them at the seaside in St. James. There are about 22 gullies in St. James, and I've put them in the book which will be coming out. Hopefully by the end of this year, the Whole Town book, second edition, myself and my daughter Marcel.
Right. Now, you gave two plantations there. Were those the only two plantations, or were there just the two major plantations?
No. There were two of five. The first 5 plantations were the Indian River plantation, that is Lascelles, which was bounded by the whole river, which is the river it's no longer a river, by Lime Grove.
Yes.
And going as far south as the next little stream to the north of the police station, south of the Old Town Methodist Church. And that second plantation then, Cooper's Hill, was in between Sandy Lane and the same Lascelles, but as we know it now as Lascelles.
Right.
And then the Sandy Lane plantation, the corn plantation, I mentioned to you, came from the telephone exchange to where the St. James Rectory is, which is now the Club Barbados. And that's another stream that has disappeared inland. But if you look closely, you'll find that there is still water between what was the Divi Hotel and the rectory, the old rectory, 1738 rectory. That's one.
Right.
But it went far east, much farther than we know now. And then that's 1, 2. The fourth plantation, the major plantation, went from the whole river again, right down almost to Miramar, which is now the Royal Pavilion Hotel. And that was divided into 2. It was called the Fort, which was Trents, and then Porters, which started with a little river between Colony Club and Coral Reef Club. And that stream is still there. Marcus Beckles did a lot to beautify it with his Petrea Gardens in recent years.
Yes.
But the demarcation is still there if you look for it. And then the fourth plantation was the fourth plantation was the Powell's own plantation. The Powells were given a plantation as a reward for their service, and their plantation started at the Miramar, that's the north wall of what was the Miramar or no Royal Pavilion, and going right down to a large creek between Ezra Holder's residence and the Neblets, and that's a huge creek, and that now is called Mount Standfast and the Garden, two different delineations. And then you go eastward, as I mentioned, the northern half, where you pick up the Indian plantation eastward, which included Orange Hill and all those areas. That's what Corteen himself, because that's beautiful reddish clay soil rather than the black clay soil of the West
Yes.
Coast. And that was very fertile soil. So that's the first part of Barbados. Under English settlement.
Right. What do we know of the owners and how the ownership was passed on over time?
Well, the owners of those plantations did not last more than a year and a half because when the Bridgetown people came with a similar patent, the King Charles, it has to be because King James died even before Holtown, even before Barbados was settled. King Charles, who didn't seem to know his elbow from his head, he gave about 5 or 6 different patents for the same property. In other words, he sold the same property 3 or 4 different times.
Yes.
I don't know if nowadays he would end up in jail, but he got away with it. So you had people fighting for possession. So when the second group came, the Wolverstone group came representing the Earl of Carlisle, who was the king's best friend, within a year, they had taken over Old Town. And so Old Town became, part of the Bridgetown community from 1629, 1628, 1629. So those people from Old Town were almost never ever heard of until I found in 1656 this huge House of Lords trial between the Corteen's son and his mother and sister against the Carlisle group and the king for over £100,000, which they had loaned the king to invest in the New Indian Company. So 1656, there was this trial going on in London. I don't think anything ever came of it. So Corteen apparently never got back the vast sums of money that he loaned to the king. So his investment in Barbados went for naught.
Yes, yes. Let's talk a little bit about the road network now, because obviously over time, you know, as man developed, he also developed ways of transport and communication and the like. What does your research show about the road, how the road network was developed?
It's fairly primitive. The plantations themselves had what we call internal communication. So you found that roads like, say, the Bennett's Road, we now call it something else, but the road that leads up to Bennett's up to the golf course, they were all in place. Initially, there were Amerindian trails. You need to know that. If you were young enough, still Pearson, to walk up through the Holtown Gully, which has now been at the bottom surfaced in concrete. But if you walk up through there, you'll find, first of all, there's a cave, and then you'll find steps, very, very old steps, that tell me that they are either an ancient walkway to the second ridge, to the third ridge, or it was certainly not something that was done after these people came. So it must have been an Amerindian trail. And I noted as probably the oldest roadway in Barbados. But it's there.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating because what would have happened before the new bridges, they were all Amerindian bridges. That means that the Lancaster Gully, which had a worst disaster that killed over 30-something people in 1945, that was never re-engineered to take the modern transport, the modern trucks and so on, and buses that were using it at the time of the accident. So that would have been an old Amerindian bridge that people would have been crossing over to get from the north to the south, and there were quite a few of them as well from what I've been seeing.
Wow, there's such history indeed in that particular area called the parish of St. James. But there obviously, if there were plantations, there would have been plantation houses. What still remains about those houses in St. James?
Well, there are a lot of them beautiful great houses. We just mentioned Trent, which was the second. The last house has been, which will be plantation number one, has been rebuilt and rebuilt in the modern vernacular. Actually, it's been rebuilt like a series of gables.
Oh,
And you've never seen a stone house in gables,
yes.
so that is one. But it has about 4 gables. It's a beautifully done house. The old chimney for Alas House is now part of a new house, and the mill wall is a gazebo in the middle of the two properties. Sandy Lane's house has gone to make room for the hotel, but Trent's house is still there. And I think the Trent's house was built in the 1700s. Um, Porter's house was initially started around the 1660s and then rebuilt in the 1700s. And recently, within the last 10, 15 years, it has been remodeled, but that has a lot of history in it as well. Then you go uphill and you find the Westmoreland house, which is now for sale by the web person. I think you
Yes.
should pull out your
Tempt me not, tempt me not.
Lancaster House, which is now used as, I think, a Sunday diner.
Yes.
Beautiful old house, which was once called Governor's House because the Barwicks, who were governor and president of council, what we now call the Senate, they once held, or a couple of times held meetings at that spot, and so it's named as one of the governor's houses. So Lancaster House is there. And then you have a lot others. You have the Water Hall has a house, which is a beautiful house. The Springhead House is still there, now owned by the owners of Sandy Lane. So that's going to be in good nick. Sand Hill House is still there. Tate's house is still there. Quite a few of the old houses are still in good nick.
Yes.
And, well, some of them are not open to public view, but many of them are visible to the public when passing. So I think there's a lot of heritage in the parish too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm sure a lot of people watching this morning are saying, you know, wow, I did not know that there is such. We just drive by and we assume that, you know, oh well, and we move on. But now we should take some time over time to be able to explore more what is available in St. James. I want to look at the church now and how the church played in terms of the role it played in terms of development of the people and the parish of St. James. What can you tell us?
So you have an hour?
No, we just have a few minutes.
Well, God's little Erica, as Reverend Bev just said, was and is still very pivotal to the parish's history, parish's heritage, and I suspect the parish's future. Because they have some pretty good programs going on there as well. They have a Heed the Need, and they had a Care for the Elderly program for a long time, which both of them I think are still going. But that church has a huge history. The ecclesiastical part of it that they can boast is that they produced five, no less than five ministers of the gospel, and no less than 2 bishops of the church. Bishop Gay Mandeville, who was one of the Mandevilles of Paynes Bay. He was the first Barbadian diocesan. And then you had one of my contemporaries, Sion Goodrich, who was the bishop of the Windward Islands. They all were Sunday school boys virtually at James Parish Church. And then you have Ulrich Smith, who's the dean of Kingstown and St. Vincent, Glenfield Prescott, and somebody else. I'm sure there are at least 5 of them that went to school, went to Sunday school and whatever else at St. James Parish Church.
Wow.
Has a rich history in that regard, apart from the fact that its graveyard has, in fact, I call it the history laboratory. Because that graveyard Go ahead.
Sorry, we have a commenter on the screen at the moment, if you could see it too. She says, this is Patricia Ben. She says, wow, this is so much information that was never taught in school, at least not in my time. Thanks for sharing, sir. And, you know, I'm glad she raised it now, because I know that somehow you're, as a man who likes to document, this is in a book. And certainly you have some books that tell the tale. I want to give you some time to talk about the books that you have and where we can get copies so we can read what you're talking about today.
Well, the first book, which was really a story to be told to my children and grandchildren, I wrote that in 2004. It was not an academic journal. It was just my looking. I spent actually 6 weeks in London trying to get the information. I mentioned to you about the 1656 stuff. And then I virtually ran out of money, so I got to go home. And I met a young lady at the National Records Office, and she promised that she would help me. And she sent me stuff that she said, I know that this is no use to you, but I found it so you can have it anyhow. And that was a whole lot of information that included that 1656 trial in London that I had never even thought about. So that book contains a whole set of foundational information on Old Town and its settlement. 2004, as I mentioned to you, we are now revising it, bringing it up to date, because there's some things that we did not know then that we know now, including the date which was given as 1626 for the settlement. But now we know that Peter Campbell had it right when he mentioned 1627, simply because, not because it's not written, it's written as 1626, but because of the fact that the English people changed their calendars around 1700. So I found a letter from Mary Fisher and Anne Austin. These were the two women who brought the Quakers to Barbados. They were the first two people of the Quaker faith that came to Barbados around 1656. And they found a letter from them to their leader, George Fox, which was dated January, which, as they said, was the 11th month.
Yes. Oh.
1655, the 11th month of 1655. And then something I talked about March being the first month of the new year. So you're all confused if you don't know what's going on.
Yes.
So later on, the English changed the calendar, and so their calendar, because apparently they were starting their new year virtually around 1st of April, the spring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Morris, you know that you are such, I'm out of time, but you are such a national treasure. I really want people to get the book, read it for themselves, to get to know more. I know you still do tours. When that happens, get in there, folks. Emma Evelyn says, Morris, are most of these plantation homes still opened by the descendants of the plantation owners or by ordinary Barbadians? Can you answer that one?
2 and 3. Very few are owned by the descendants.
Right.
Other plantation owners and ordinary Barbadians.
Gotcha. All right, Maurice, we're going to leave it there, but thank you so much. This has been quite a journey with me and with you, and to be able to learn so much about the parish of St. James through you and your research. All the best, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us.
And to you too, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Historian Maurice Greenidge, they're sharing with us a lot of the history of St. James. There's so much more to tell you too, so take a look at this and we'll come right back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So we're continuing to meet some interesting people in the parish of St. James, one of who is Zuena Perry Willett. And she, as you might recall, was the parish ambassador in 2015 with her partner then Ade O'Neill. She shares now a little bit of her fond memories of growing up in St. James.
Hi, my name is Zuena Perry Willett, and I'm from the parish of St. James, the parish of the Setting Sun. I'm from the area of Mount Stanforth Gardens. I grew up there from the time I was 8. I had actually moved from a different part of St. James, which would have been the Appleby side. And I went to school at St. Albans Infants and St. Albans Primary when they were separated. So that should age me quite a bit. And in terms of our community, the St. James community is just a wonderful community of supportive people. They always remember you. I know that to this day, no matter where I go in St. James, especially in the Western area, I'm recognized and I know the people who are there, and it always feels like you're coming home. There's always somebody there to say something nice, and I like to know that I'm a part of that. My fondest memories of growing up in St. James would obviously memories involving my dad. We walk to the beach almost every Sunday afternoon after you eat, you rest after watching the Sunday movie on CBC. Again, aging myself a bit. But you'll go to the beach in the afternoon and it was just a fun time. Everybody's out there. Some people are playing beach cricket, others with a football. Everybody's just laughing, having a good time. I remember one day in particular, this is what spurred me to learn how to swim. My dad, my twin sister and I, we were all in the water. We're standing next to the pier close to the Fairmount Pavilion, and this wave just comes and knocks us right over. And my dad had me in his hands, and he fell over, I fell over, and I'm there like, where is up? I have no idea. And then I just feel him grasping for me. He's like, you, I almost lost you. And I was like, looking back on it now, that's such a quintessential Barbadian thing to say. Not even to say, oh no, how are you doing? He just said, I almost lost you. And that's something that always makes me smile whenever I think of my parish of St. James. So I was the 2015 parish ambassador alongside the wonderful Ade O'Neill. And we really enjoyed our time. We would have placed second overall. And it was a wonderful experience throughout that year, getting to know the parish of St. James, working alongside the community to bring about change and improvement. In fact, our project was really representative of the heart of the St. James people. It was called the RICH project, RICH being an acronym which stood for the representation of St. James, which is the people who are resourceful, they have integrity, they're creative, and they're full of heart. And that's the RICH project. And we wanted to bring that to all of Barbados, what it's like to be a St. James person, to be a part of a community that cares about you, and to be a part of a community that spearheads a lot of entrepreneurship and talents, and it was just wonderful to be a part of that. In terms of development, St. James is known as the tourism parish. Many hotels, many beautiful beaches, some of the calmest, clearest waters in all of Barbados. And for me, I would like to see development in the areas of support for community tourism, where we are empowering the persons to open up their homes. We actually started that with our project. We did training so that we had persons in St. James who were tour guides. And I would love to see a continuation or build upon that, where there's an empowerment of the people to take charge of the tourism product. So it's not just the few percentage that holds on to it and that can, implement or reach out to our tourists, but it's a community effort. And the way that tourism has grown is with the Airbnbs and opening people are looking for that in touch with the island, in touch with the place you're visiting. And there's no better way to do that than to empower the persons to open their homes, open their hearts to the tourists who visit our island. My 3 wishes for the parish of St. James, now that COVID is manageable at this point in time, is just to see a lot more of the community events. I think I miss seeing that cricket at Trent's, and the footballers are back out. I would love to see the Whole Town Festival again and grow upon those things. I would also like to see more people just enjoying our natural resources. I have a little bit of a pet peeve after growing up there and going to the beach that I used to frequent, and now seeing it so overrun with chairs, you almost feel like if, you're a tourist on your own beach. And I would love to see more of our locals just coming out and enjoying the natural resources of our beautiful parish. Besides winning each and every parish ambassador from here on out, the future that I see for St. James is just one where people, when they enter our boundaries, they recognize the history, they recognize the significance of the first parish of Barbados, and that for the persons who live there, just take pride. Simple little things we could do, make it the cleanest parish in Barbados, just things that signify how much pride we take not only in our location, but also to be parts of Barbados. That's all I wish for our beautiful parish. One place I would encourage you to visit when you come to the beautiful parish of the Setting Sun, St. James, is the walking trail that the St. James Parish Independence Committee would have commissioned a number of years ago. And this trail takes you from the original landing site to cholera burial grounds to the monuments that we have there, and even if you like a little bit of the mysterious, some of our graveyards. And it's located along the whole town walking route, so it's very easy to do for any level of exercise. If you're like me, I'm at the bottom level. And it's just very informative because they've installed plaques along the way, so you can learn quite a bit of the history on your own. And it's a wonderful family activity to do. So just come and visit. My name is Zuena Perry-Willett, and welcome to St. James.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
She's quite talkative, isn't she? Zoe did, as she mentioned, her father, the late Phil Perry, educator, thespian, everything, just a good guy. Now, another one of those outstanding people from the parish of St. James is Peter Skeet. He's a youth commissioner. Good morning to you, Peter.
Oh, pleasant morning to you, Pearson, and to the entire Barbados, and St. James in particular.
Thank you so much. Now, you were born in St. James and you continue as youth commissioner to give back to St. James. What is it about St. James that makes you want to continue doing what you're doing?
Well, first of all, St. James has a rich history in terms of its sports and performing arts culture. I guess Morris would have alluded to a number of the heritage areas. But suffice it to say that St. James and the area of Holders Hill and Haynesville and Hall Village and Hoyts in particular has produced many outstanding sportsmen. Our number one sport, of course, is cricket. And you will be surprised to learn that this community has produced 8 test cricketers. And all of the cricketing researchers indicate that for this own community, it has produced more international cricketers per capita than any other country in the world. And I start first by the former deceased Claremont de Pisa, almost legendary son of the soil, Desmond Haynes, Albert Padmore, Philo Wallace, Courtney Brown, Adrian Griffith, Ryan Hines, and most recently Shamar Brooks, who made quite a masterful century 2 nights ago in the Caribbean Premier League competition. And then we've had a representation of almost every sporting discipline you can think about. At one point in time, the entire Barbados golf team was representatives of players from the Holders Hill, Haynesville, and Hoyts Village space. So it gives me great pleasure to be associated, born and bred in St. James, and to continue with a lot of the development work that we've seen over the years.
You know, I wish I had the time to ask you what's the secret about Holders Hill and why you've produced so many talented people, but that's a discussion perhaps for another time. But what else are you doing now to support the ongoing development of the parish of St. James?
Well, as youth commissioner for the last 25 years, we've developed a host of young people. We've established the National Summer Camp program over at the Desmond Haynes complex in Holders Hill, as well as the Haynesville Police Post, and most recently the Good Shepherd Primary School. We've trained numerous young people in sports, cricket, football, netball, We've had mentorship programs in collaboration with the Optimist Club of St. James North. We've trained a number of young people in culture. The Hansel Youth Club for the last 10 years has been a quite significant player on the cultural landscape of Barbados. They've traveled extensively throughout the Caribbean, sharing with their regional counterparts elements of their Barbadian and African culture in the area of dance, traditional African landship, Caribbean folk movements, and the like. They've won numerous awards at NIFCA, and generally it has provided wholesome activities for our young people in an effort to limit, as we say, to limit their participation in antisocial behavior. And this is what drives this community. Of course, the Hansel space is a footballing community, and most recently we would have had the likes of Mario Williams, who's a Hall Village resident, who's now playing professionally in Australia. So my work as youth commissioner has been to establish a number of these programs to the benefit of our young people and to continue to harness their talents. You would have heard this morning our own Johnny Batson, who's a young leader who's coming up, and he's following in the footsteps of Naval Grisex, who himself was an outstanding youngster from this space who've been part and parcel of many of our developmental programs. And he's currently in the United States working with Manchester City Football Club as a sports scientist. So we through this developmental work, we've been able to produce plenty of outstanding young people who've been able to bring joy, recognition and respectability to their communities.
We want to recognize and respect you too, your contribution to the St. James community as well, Peter. We got to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us, and all the best with your continued developmental work in the parish of St. James. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Been our pleasure to spend some time in the parish of St. James today. I hope you learned a whole lot more. And now you know as you go through that it is not, don't just drive through, take some time and enjoy, explore and find the history as well. That's it for today, and that's it for the week. Thanks to my producer Alicia Asgrant, technical director in Rural Ford, sound engineer Christopher Blenman, and master control has been Doreen and Pearson Boyne, for each of them saying thank you. I'll see you in a month time. You be on your best behavior until I return, and until then, do take care. See ya. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.